My dear friends, life is not always destroyed by storms outside. Sometimes it is silently damaged by storms within. We usually protect our homes from thieves at night, but what about the invisible thieves that silently rob us of our peace, our dignity, and our self-worth? These are not storms of the world, they are the habits within us. And remember, God has given every soul unlimited value, but when we allow wrong habits to grow in silence, we begin to forget that divine worth. Today, let us reflect on 4 silent habits that secretly destroy our self-worth, and let us learn how to overcome them by staying connected to God, by respecting ourselves, and by living a life of inner strength. My dear friends, one of the most silent habits that destroys our self-worth is comparison. It may not shout loudly like anger or jealousy, but it creeps quietly into our thoughts and slowly eats away at our peace of mind. You may notice it when you scroll through social media and see someone's perfect holiday pictures, their achievements, their possessions. You may notice it when you sit with relatives and someone praises another person's child for scoring higher grades, getting a better job, or living in a bigger house. And in that moment, without even realizing, a seed of comparison is planted in your heart. But let me ask you something. When a rose blooms, does it look at the sunflower and say, "Oh, you are taller, therefore I am less"? When a lotus blossoms in the pond, does it cry because it cannot grow on land like other plants? Absolutely not. Each flower in the garden of God has its own fragrance, its own timing, its own beauty. The rose spreads its fragrance in the morning, the lotus blooms with the sunrise, and the jasmine glows at night. None of them competes, none of them compares, and yet each adds to the beauty of the garden. In the same way, God has created every single one of us with a unique design. Your talents, your strengths, your weaknesses, your experiences, your journey, they are all custom made for you. When we compare ourselves to others, what we are actually doing is questioning God's wisdom in creating us. It's as if we are telling Him, "You should have made me like them." But my friends, the Creator does not make duplicates. He does not waste His energy in copy-pasting souls. Every single soul has a role, a purpose, a reason to exist. Think of it practically in daily life. Imagine you are cooking a meal. You need rice, salt, vegetables, spices, maybe some lentils. Now if rice starts comparing itself to salt, saying, "Oh, you are so powerful, just a pinch of you changes the entire taste, and I am so tasteless," then the rice is forgetting its own value. On the other hand, if salt says, "Oh rice, you are the main dish, everyone eats you in abundance, and I am only taken in grains, therefore I am useless," then salt also misses its role. But the truth is, both rice and salt are valuable in their own way. Remove the rice and the meal is incomplete. Remove the salt and the meal becomes tasteless. Both are needed, both are unique, both have worth. In life, comparing yourself to others makes you blind to your own value. You start running a race that is not even meant for you. If a fish tries to climb a tree, it will spend its entire life thinking it is useless. But in water, the fish is a master. Similarly, if a bird tries to swim like a fish, it will drown. But in the sky, the bird is a king. Your greatness lies in finding your place, not in copying someone else's path. Now let me share something deeper. When we compare, we don't only hurt ourselves, we also invite unnecessary negativity into our relationships. If you compare your child to another child, you plant insecurity in their heart. If you compare your spouse to someone else's, you kill their confidence. If you compare your own achievements to someone else's, you begin to carry jealousy instead of gratitude. Comparison is not only self-destructive, it also destroys the joy around us. So how do we heal this habit? The answer lies in shifting our focus from what we lack to what we already have. Gratitude is the antidote to comparison. Every morning, instead of asking, why do they have what I don't have? Ask, what has God blessed me with that I often take for granted? You will realize that while others may be ahead in one area, you are ahead in another. Life is not a straight line where one person is always at the top and another always at the bottom. Life is a circle where everyone shines at their own time. For example, a student may see someone topping the exams and feel inferior, but maybe that student is gifted in art, in music, or in leadership. Years later, when everyone is stuck in routine jobs, that same talent may make them shine. A person who feels small today because they are financially struggling may tomorrow become strong, because life taught them resilience, discipline, and patience, qualities money cannot buy. Always remember, when you compare, you are trying to measure different journeys with the same scale. That scale does not exist. A mango tree cannot bear apples, and an apple tree cannot bear mangoes. If they start comparing, they will both feel miserable. But if they accept their uniqueness, the whole world gets to enjoy both apples and mangoes. My friends, God did not create you to be like someone else. He created you to be you. The best gift you can give to yourself and to the world is to stop comparing and to start living authentically. Instead of asking, why am I not like them? Ask, how can I become the best version of myself with what God has given me? When you live this way, you rise above competition. You no longer feel insecure by someone else's success, because you know their success does not diminish yours. You no longer feel small when someone shines, because you understand that their light does not put out your candle. In fact, when one candle lights another, the brightness only increases. So today, make a promise to yourself: I will not compare my journey with anyone else's. I will celebrate my uniqueness. I will honor my individuality, and I will trust that God has given me everything I need to fulfill my purpose. When you live with this mindset, your self-worth becomes unshakable, because it rests not on worldly measures, but on divine truth. My dear friends, the second silent habit that destroys our self-worth is the way we speak to ourselves. Most people believe that the words spoken by others hurt the most. But let me tell you a truth. Sometimes the most damaging words are not spoken by anyone outside. They are whispered quietly within our own mind. Outwardly, we may smile, dress well, and look confident, but inside we often repeat to ourselves, I am not good enough, I am a failure, I am useless. These words slowly eat away at our strength like termites eating wood from within. Imagine this: if someone stood in front of you all day insulting you, saying, you are worthless, you are weak, you cannot do anything, how long would you tolerate it? Maybe for a few minutes, maybe for an hour, but after that you would walk away, right? Yet sadly, we often allow our own mind to do exactly that, to insult us, to belittle us, to attack us, and we tolerate it for days, months, sometimes even years. We cannot run away from our own voice, and so these negative whispers become even more harmful than criticism from outside. But let me ask you a simple question. When you speak negatively to yourself, whose creation are you insulting? You are insulting God Himself. Because when you say, I am useless, you are actually telling the Creator, you made a mistake in designing me. And my friends, God does not make mistakes. Every soul is created with intention, with purpose, with potential. To belittle yourself is to dishonor the divine intelligence that breathed life into you. Let's make this practical. Think of a parent who lovingly cooks a meal for their child. If the child looks at the food and says, "This is disgusting, this is useless, you wasted your time," how would the parent feel? Hurt, insulted, unappreciated. Now imagine when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I am ugly, I am not worth anything." In that moment, God, who created you with such care, feels the same pain. Because you are rejecting His gift, the gift of life, the gift of uniqueness, the gift of soul. Negative self-talk also destroys opportunities. How? Imagine a student who has talent but whispers to themselves every day, "I am not smart enough. I will fail." Because of that inner voice, they don't even try. Or think of a professional who wants to apply for a promotion but tells themselves, "I don't deserve it. I won't be chosen." They never submit the application. Not because they lacked skill, but because their own words killed their courage. Negative self-talk is like tying your own legs before running a race. The race was never lost because of the competitors. It was lost before it even began, inside the mind. Now, let me share with you something most people ignore. Words are vibrations. Science has shown how water crystals change shape when exposed to positive or negative words. Imagine if water reacts to words, how much more your own body and soul, made of energy, consciousness, and divinity, reacts to what you say to yourself. When you repeat negativity, your body grows heavy, your mind grows tired, and your spirit loses light. But when you speak words of respect and gratitude to yourself, your entire being begins to blossom. So, what is the way forward? The first step is awareness. Observe the voice in your mind. Catch those moments when you say to yourself, "I cannot do this, I am not capable." Once you catch it, don't fight it with anger. Simply replace it. Replace it with a thought of respect. I am capable because God has given me strength. I may not be perfect, but I am growing every day. I may fail sometimes, but I am still worthy. Let me give you a daily life example. Suppose you made a mistake at work. Instead of saying, "I am so stupid," pause and reframe it. "I made a mistake, but I learned something valuable. Next time I will do better." This one shift changes the energy of your heart. Or if you look in the mirror and the first thought is, "I don't look good," replace it with, "This body is a sacred gift from God, I will honor it." Over time, these small changes in your inner dialogue completely transform your self-worth. And let us not forget, gratitude is the greatest weapon against negative self-talk. Every night before you sleep, think of 3 things you are thankful for about yourself. Not just about the world, but about yourself. Maybe you helped someone today. Maybe you worked hard. Maybe you showed patience in a difficult moment. Remind yourself that you are valuable. Because when you practice gratitude for who you are, you start to hear your inner voice shift from criticism to appreciation. Remember, the world outside may sometimes insult you, may sometimes doubt you, may sometimes ignore you. That is beyond your control. But the world inside, your inner voice, that is fully in your hands. Do not make your own mind your enemy. Make it your best friend. Talk to yourself the way God would talk to you. With love, with patience, with encouragement. So my dear friends, today make a promise to yourself. I will never again use words of disrespect towards myself. I will no longer say, "I am worthless," because God created me with worth. I will no longer say, "I am a failure," because every setback is a lesson pushing me forward. I will no longer say, "I cannot," because with God's grace I always can. From this moment, let your inner dialogue become your strength, not your weakness. When your inner voice becomes respectful, your self-worth shines naturally. You don't need applause from outside because you already hear applause within. You don't need constant encouragement from the world because you have already built encouragement in your own heart. And when you walk through life with that strength, nothing and no one can shake your confidence. My dear friends, the third silent habit that secretly destroys our self-worth is the endless craving for validation from others. It is one of the most common, yet one of the most dangerous habits. We live in a world where approval has become like oxygen. Without it, people feel suffocated. But the truth is, if your self-worth depends on the applause of the world, then it will also collapse with the silence of the word. Think about it. How often do we check our phones just to see if someone liked our picture, commented on our post, or praised our achievement? How often do we dress, speak, or even behave not because it feels true to us, but because we want others to notice? On the surface, this may look harmless, but in reality, it is like handing over the key to your happiness into someone else's pocket. The moment they choose not to clap for you, you feel small. The moment they don't smile at your efforts, you feel invisible. The moment they don't recognize you, you feel worthless. But let me ask you, can you control the minds of millions of people? Can you guarantee that every single person you meet will praise you, will love you, will approve of you? No, my friends, you cannot. So why would you build your self-worth on something so unstable, so temporary, so unpredictable? Let me give you an example. Imagine a street performer playing music on the sidewalk. Some people stop and clap, some walk by without even looking, and some criticize saying, "It's too loud, it's not good enough." Now, if that performer's self-worth depends on each passerby's reaction, they will feel like a king one moment and like a beggar the next. But if that performer plays because music is their passion, because it is a gift from God flowing through them, then applause or criticism does not matter. They remain steady, fulfilled, and joyful because their validation comes from within. Similarly, in life, the world's approval is always changing. Today, people may praise you for your success. Tomorrow, the same people may gossip about your failure. Today, you may be the hero. Tomorrow, you may be forgotten. If your self-worth rests on this fragile foundation, you will always be anxious, always chasing, always exhausted. But when your validation comes from God, it is different. God does not change His opinion of you based on your bank balance, your popularity, or your appearance. For God, you are valuable simply because you exist, because you are His creation. Just like a mother loves her child regardless of whether the child wins a trophy or not, God's love is unconditional. When you anchor your self-worth in that divine validation, you become unshakable. Let's take another everyday example. Suppose you work hard on a project at the office. You give your best effort, you stay up late, you pour your energy into it. But in the end, your boss does not acknowledge it. Most people in that situation feel crushed. They start saying, "I am not good enough, nobody notices me." But what if instead you thought, "I did my best. God was watching. My honesty, my effort, my sincerity is recorded in the universe. Even if people don't see, God sees. Even if the boss forgets, my conscience knows I gave everything." That mindset frees you from being a prisoner of validation. This doesn't mean we should reject praise completely. Appreciation is sweet, it motivates us, but it should never define us. There is a difference between enjoying praise and depending on praise. Enjoy it when it comes, but don't suffer when it doesn't. Your worth does not increase when someone applauds, and it does not decrease when someone ignores you. Your worth remains constant because it is rooted in something eternal, the love of God and the dignity of your own soul. Now think of a tree. When the wind blows gently, the leaves rustle as if applauding the tree. But when a storm comes, the same wind shakes the tree violently. If the tree's confidence depended on the wind, it would feel proud in the breeze and broken in the storm. But the tree does not depend on the wind. It depends on its roots, deep in the soil, drinking water from the earth. In the same way, if you depend on the winds of people's opinions, you will always be shaken. But if you root yourself in God, in values, in inner strength, you will stand tall in both sunshine and storm. I know many of you may have felt invisible at times. Maybe your family didn't recognize your sacrifices. Maybe your friends didn't appreciate your loyalty. Maybe your colleagues ignored your hard work. And in those moments, you may have felt, do I even matter? But let me remind you today, your worth does not come from their eyes. It comes from God's eyes. Even if the whole world turns away, you are still valuable, still loved, still important. So, how do we break free from this habit? By shifting our question. Most people ask, do they like me? Do they approve of me? Do they recognize me? Instead, start asking, am I living true to my values? Am I pleasing my conscience? Am I aligned with the purpose God gave me? When those answers are yes, you no longer need the world's applause. My dear friends, applause fades, fame fades, recognition fades. But self-respect, rooted in God's validation, shines forever. Don't let the silence of the world destroy your spirit. And don't let the noise of the world confuse your worth. Your value is eternal because it is not borrowed from others. It is gifted by God. So today, make a promise. I will no longer beg for validation from the crowd. I will honor myself as God's creation. I will live with integrity, with sincerity, with love, whether or not anyone notices. Because in the end, the world may forget, but God never forgets. And that, my friends, is the highest validation one can ever receive.